If you guys have any questions for me, love the opportunity to help you out the best way I can. So a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Anthony Acevedo. I'm a team leader here with EXP Empowered Real Estate. I've been in the industry for just under 4 years. This year, I'm also the president of a nonprofit organization called NAREP. If some of you guys are familiar with the nonprofit, I'm the president of the Southeast Montebello chapter. Been in the industry for less than 4 years. This year we've closed 7.9 million. Right now I have about 11.7 million in listings signed, active, or in escrow, trending about 28 million. And I'll kind of go into a little bit on how we've been able to do that. A lot of that has come in the last 60 days or so, which kind of goes into how we're getting these listings, right? And we focus on expireds and we focus on acquiring and relist. Acquiring a relist is partnering up with an investor, acquiring a property, finding them the best deal possible, negotiating so I can get the relist. And now I found myself an opportunity to get paid twice from the same client. And in some cases, maybe 3 or 4 times because if a buyer comes in or I find another lead at the open house. So it's an opportunity for you to be the hub for business to come to you. And I'll show you how we're doing that. My sources of inventory right now for me and my team is number one, when it comes to expireds, we focus on utilizing a system called Vulcan 7, and then we farm those expired areas of our choice, right? But we use Vulcan 7. I'll show you how we use it in just a moment. When it comes to investors, we take the opportunity to find them off-market deals or sometimes deals that are maybe wholesale opportunities and assignments. We find them, we negotiate for them, we help them flip the property, we assist in the rehab process where we can, and we relist the beautiful property at the end, have mega open houses, and of course, make opportunities happen. And of course, we utilize social media. No secret agent here. I'll tell you, 90% of my business comes from social media. This includes investors or partners, buyers, sellers, doesn't matter. Social media is probably my biggest tool. And that just comes from utilizing your stories, your posts, your reels, having those conversations and making yourself visible to everybody. You don't want to be a secret agent, especially in today's society, in today's world. Social media is king. So you want to make sure you take advantage of that. Now, the reason I put, sorry, go ahead. So the reason I put this slide together, right, in the last 60 days, we've been able to put 11.7 under contract and escrow, right? And these are just listings only. If you look on the screenshot, it shows 13 million. The reason why is because we have 2 listings right now that are on hold. You know how sellers get when they get cold feet. We're going back and forth. So we got 2 listings that we're working with, but 2 out of 15 is a pretty good number, pretty good percentage.
I rescheduled PT for after this meeting.
Oh, the rest are either live in escrow or going to be coming soon in the next week or 2. Now, the reason why this slide is so important is because 5 of these listings have come from agents with no transaction experience. They just followed the blueprint and the plan that we kind of put in place. And they've only been with me for 3 months. So no transaction experience, 0 to 3 months. They do 150 to 250 calls per day per agent. Our primary source is Vulcan 7. Right now, they average 3 to 4 appointments a week. I go with them on these appointments. We have the listing. We have a specific listing presentation that we use and a strategy that we use to get these listings. So 4 of these agents, again, zero transaction experience. They have 5 listings, 2 escrows, and 1 closing. And the reason I wanted to use that is because a lot of times, some of us have been around a lot of agents who have had their license for 2 years or 3 years. Haven't been able to get a listing yet, haven't been able to get a buyer yet. They're stuck in part-time, whatever it is. The opportunities are out there. I have 4 agents who are part-time, who have second jobs, but they've been able to master these calls and put these strategies in place, and boom, immediate results. And so really want to kind of showcase that and edify that so you can kind of see, for some of you guys on there, you guys are agents, you guys are going on appointments, you guys already got listings and buyers. I think adding this tool is just going to help you accelerate your business and take it to another level. I see we got someone on the chat. I just saw, oh my God, fires. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So go ahead and move on to the next slide here. So we're going to talk about expireds first. Now, when it comes to expireds, like I said, I mentioned, we use something called Vulcan 7, okay? It is more reliable and you have a way higher answer rate than the list that you get from title. A lot of us get title lists from title, right? We get expireds, FSBOs for rent by owners, whatever the case is. I spent a whole year getting those title lists, and I can get a title list of 500 names, and 10 of those numbers out of the 500, they are the numbers that work, or someone answers, and the rest, it's no answer. I get a no dial tone. Every single phone number in Vulcan 7 works. You're never going to get a phone number that doesn't work. And then for each contact or each property that expired or was a FISBO or for rent by owner, you get at least 5 numbers per. And every single person is connected to the seller somehow. It's either the seller itself, the wife, someone who lived in the property, or maybe it was the renter who was in the property, right? But you always get someone who's connected. So very reliable. Again, it calls expireds, FISBOs for rent by owners. You do something called neighborhood search, which allows you to look up specific neighborhoods and pull contacts for those neighborhoods. So for example, if you have a listing or an open house, or you're a newer agent and you want to call around an office listing, you can utilize neighborhood search to pull these contacts. There's also trainings, right? Every Tuesday and Thursday, there's trainings that come with Vulcan 7 where you're able to learn and be on Zoom calls with over 150 agents who are getting listings. So you can take best practices from these. This system costs anywhere from $350 to $550 a month, depending on what kind of system you have. I pay for this for my team and we all utilize it. It comes with the phone number. You don't get the spam likelies. It's a legit phone number and all your calls are going through. So definitely a huge tool for you to utilize and really maximize the calls that you're making. Now, this is what it looks like here. When you're making your phone calls, right, on the left-hand side, you're going to have the contact name. You're going to have email address. You're going to have the address. On the right-hand side, it's going to show you the MLS listing. Shows you the status of when it changed, the date, if it was withdrawn, expired, whatever the case may be.
Well,
And then on
listen
the
and see what they're
right-hand
doing.
side, it's going to show the list price.
Can you
It's gonna
mute
show
their,
how much the bed and
can you
bath-
mute their, can you mute them?
Yeah, give me a second.
Oh,
Mute. All right. We'll try to keep, if you can mute your phone, if you guys are out, if you guys are busy, please. And then if I catch you, I'll go ahead and mute you myself as well. But thank you for pointing that out. And of course, right, it shows you the listing price, right, 450,000. And on the bottom half, it's going to show you the Zillow link where you're able to click and you're able to view the properties. Okay, so you're able to view what it looks like while you're making the call. And again, it's going to have 5 numbers, so you're going to be able to make calls to each and every single one. Of course, you also want to point out too, it's also going to give you the owner mailing address. Sometimes these are for run by owners, and sometimes they don't live in the actual property that they have. So this will give you a good idea of where they're at and where you can also contact or door knock if you're not able to get an answer on the 5 original numbers they gave you. So definitely a great system that we utilize. If we look at the next section, which is the neighborhood search, okay, this is where it allows you, for example, if you have an open house or you have a new listing and you want to cold call a specific area, right? So for example, if you look right here, this is one of my listings here in Thornburn. If you look at the red dot right there, that's the listing. If I wanted to call these numbers specifically, right, I can use this tool right here and I can get a specific radius, or I can use the circle right here, drag it, it can create a big circle. I can just call every single number on there. On the right hand side, if I wanted to be more specific, I could put 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 1 bed, non-owner occupied, I could put an estimated value, whatever I wanted to do. In the bottom right hand, I can put generate list, right? So we use this to make phone calls for our open houses, our new listings, or expireds, right? If we were able to get an expired under contract, we then call a similar area. Hey, we had someone who hit an issue, who had a challenge, we're able to solve it for them. They're coming soon, like to give you the same opportunity, or whatever the case may be, right? So you can call condos, right? Move people from condos to homes. You can use this as a refinance opportunity as well. You can partner with the lender, have your lender make calls on these as well, and do refinances on these properties. Open house just sold, etc. The opportunities are limitless, and you have an opportunity to make some kind of business happen. So really good opportunities here. Thank you. Just reading the chat real quick. Get motivated to tackle expireds. I love it. Thank you, Denise. So moving on from neighborhood search, right now, this is a script that I use for our expireds. Now, I pulled a lot of different things from some of my favorite scripts from expireds and kind of add my own flavor and kind of made this. I'm not going to go over the entire script because then we'll be here role playing for an hour or 2 hours. But what I am going to do is point out two of the most important parts of this script, so you guys can get an idea of how we're able to keep people on the phone. I think utilizing this script, we're able to keep people on the phone. We have, I would say, an increase of about 50% of people not hanging up on us, and we're able to guide the conversation to the appointment that we want to get. And the first thing is very simple. It's the hello, right? A lot of scripts say, hello, hi, I'm looking for the owner of property 123 Main Street, right? Or, hey, my name is Anthony with Remax, blah, blah. By the time they hear the name of your company, by the time they say you're looking for the property owner, click, they're going to hang up on you. What we do is we start the conversation with hello. So for example, hello, Leo. And what happens? Your prospect then becomes curious, and their first thought most likely is, who the fuck is this? Who's on the phone call right now? Right? They know me for some reason. So they're curious. They want to stay on the phone call. Gives you a longer hold time, right? Now they want to know who it is, what your purpose is, right? There's a slight trust because you know their name. The second thing is how we continue that conversation. And what I do is, hey, Leo, my name is Anthony. I'm calling because I'm working with a few families to move into the Whittier area, and I noticed you withdrew your property from the market in June of 2021. I'm curious, are you open to accepting any offers on your property if the price made sense? So I created curiosity with the opener by knowing their name. So now I must know this person knows me. Then what I do is I capture their attention even further because I might have a buyer for them working with the family and I notice their property. And now I might have an offer for them, right? So now they're curious. And I know a lot of you guys probably think, well, now you're saying you have a buyer. I will tell you 9 out of 10 times they forget I have a buyer when I'm done with the conversation, right? Now, when they do focus on me having a buyer or an offer for them, okay, I revert the conversation to their motivation and or problem, and I focus on that. Because at the end of the day, guys, I can have buyers, and in a lot of cases, we do have buyers that maybe come to our open houses, but I can't bring a buyer or make a buyer interested unless I know what the property looks like, the condition, and I'm able to see the property prior to, right? I'm the matchmaker. I'm bringing the house and the buyers together, but I can't do that unless I know the proper information, right? And that's the direction that I take the conversation. But again, and I'm going to talk about this in a moment, you always want to focus on the problem and the motivation and bring those two things together. Now, the way that I do that is I use my set of pre-qualification questions that I'll show you in just a moment. And I am always in question mode, okay? The majority of my conversation when I'm on the phone, I'm asking questions. I don't deliver a lot of statements. I don't use a lot of fillers. I'm always asking a question. I'm always the most ultimate curious person on the phone, right? I want to lead myself in a certain direction with the prospect. And secondly, I always overcome objections with their objection. And I'll show you what that means in just a moment, okay? You want to make sure you lead the conversation. You don't want to throw darts. I always tell my team, don't throw darts to your prospects. And what's a dart? A dart is always providing an overload of information and or statements, right? We always feel like if we're the most knowledgeable person, we have the most knowledge to give to somebody, that's going to make us more credible. That's actually incorrect, right? You actually don't give your client an opportunity to think or see you as valuable. You're just giving them a lot of information. It's going through one ear and not the other. Okay, they're already thinking about their lunch. They're already thinking about the traffic that they're gonna have to take right now and going their way home. So you have to get them in a position to think and see you as valuable, right? I'll give you an example. Objection: rates are too high. I won't be able to afford the new mortgage. Okay, a dart is I understand. I don't know if you knew rates just dropped. Okay, and we have quite a few programs that would be helpful to you. I'd like to connect you with my lender and find the best option for you, right? That's an overload of information. Hey, rates just dropped. I don't know if you know, now they're 5.6, conventional 6.6, all that stuff. You're just throwing a lot of information at them. That's what I call darts. You're not giving them the opportunity to think or digest, right? You have to give them an opportunity to digest. And the way that looks is the next one, right? Always overcome the objection with the objection. Rates are too high. I won't be able to afford the new mortgage. Hey, Leo, I totally understand. What mortgage were you quoted that made you feel the rate was too high? Okay, this requires a specific response for them, and that's what you want to get. You want to get them to think. It also calls them on their bluff, right? When you're talking to a prospect, you always want to call them out on their bluff. You want to see if they're reading headlines right? Means they saw a headline, rates are too high, or if they really understand what the rate is. Especially when it comes to a seller, rates shouldn't affect the seller too much because they already have equity they're going to transfer to a new home. So the mortgage is going to be significantly lower than anyone else already anyway, right? But it's our job to educate them on that, right? And so again, the way that we revert that is I understand what mortgage were you quoted that made you feel the rate was too high. A follow-up question to that is, do you know why as a seller, you are at more of an advantage with your rate and mortgage than a first-time buyer? Most times the client's not going to know that, right? And when you're able to ask them a question and they don't know the answer to it, you just created a separation between you and the prospect. The separation you created was that you are the professional, you understand the market, you understand the scenarios, and they are not. And that's why you're here. That's why you connect on the phone. That's why they answered the phone today and stayed on the phones, because you have the information that they don't have, and you now can become the solution to their problem. Always put your prospect in a position where you are the professional and they are not. And the only way to do that is to ask questions that they don't have the answer to. Very important to do that. And that's an easy way, I guess, like a lot of people asking questions they don't have the answer to, and put them in a position. Okay, put them in a position. Is there a low payment plan for new agents? I have a listing pending, but we have not closed. Definitely like to invest in this. Awesome, awesome. Well, we can talk about that offline a little bit after, okay? But again, you want to put your prospect in a position where you're the professional and they are not, okay? Now, do not be on a call expecting to ask the next question. One of the problems I know some of my agents have, a lot of agents have, even myself when I first started, we have a script in front of us and we're on the phone call. And instead of listening to the client, we're already anticipating asking the next question that's on our script. So you miss a couple cues when you're having the conversation. Your job when you're on the phone is listen to your client so it leads to your next question. Remember, scripts, that's a format and a structure to keep you in balance, to keep you on a straight line, right? But it's important that when we're on a phone call with a prospect that you're listening to your client so it leads to your next question. Ultimately, if you can be on every single call with the client and 95% of the things that come out of your mouth are a question, you're gonna close that client. You're gonna get an appointment, right? When you're talking more than the prospect, you're most likely not gonna get the appointment, right? It's not about how much you can provide them, it's how much you can learn about them so you can understand how you can be the professional for them and the solution for them, right? And it all starts about asking questions, right? Would anybody like to volunteer? I want to do a quick little exercise with anybody, with somebody. Anybody?
I'll
All right,
volunteer.
who's that?
Tracy.
Tracy. Hi, Tracy. Thank you for volunteer. So I'm gonna ask you a question and we'll just see where the conversation goes. Okay, Tracy, what's your favorite color?
Purple.
Purple? Tracy, why is your favorite color purple?
It's majestic.
It's majestic. Oh wow. What makes you interested in that color being majestic? What is it about majestic?
It's just royal, and I like fine things. And
Oh, you like fine things.
yes.
And how did you grow into having a taste that's royal and fine things? Like where did you get that from?
I was raised, she liked fine things, and we always had nice things. So I'm
Okay,
accustomed
great.
to
So
that.
I'm assuming you had a great relationship. Did you have a great relationship with your mom, and that's why you kind of led that charge in
Yeah.
liking royal and fine things?
Yes. I'd say that.
Okay.
Yes.
Why would you say the relationship between you and your mom is super important?
Um, it's important because we have a lot of similarities. She taught me a lot, how to be a young lady, how to have class, conduct myself, and how to be motivated, ambitious, and go after the finer things in life. So I think
Oh,
that's
I
very
love
important to
that.
have those
I love it.
values
So would you
instilled in you as a child.
Perfect. So she taught you morals, how to carry yourself, how to lead the
Hmm.
charge in life. Would you say she's probably the most important role model in your life?
Yes, definitely.
All right. Time out, right? So look, I asked her favorite color. I led the conversation where I wanted to lead to. In 15, 20 seconds, I find out how the relationship was with her mom, how she taught her morals, how she likes royal and fine things. I can go out right now and buy Tracy a birthday present. I know exactly what to get. The next time I have a conversation with Tracy, I know exactly how important the relationship with her mom is, how she carries herself, so on and so forth. In 15 seconds, okay? I've done this exercise with many people. I found out that they needed therapy. I have found out that they had childhood trauma. I have found out so many different things because I continue to ask questions. I maybe said a filler statement or acknowledged her answer to me, but I repeated a question. And if you notice, all the questions I asked her was just the answer she gave me. So it's the same thing when you're with a prospect, right? Whatever answer they give you, you need to be ultimately curious on what it is they tell you. You revert that back into a question, and you're going to get down to whatever problem it is that they couldn't sell their property or what their situation is with their home at that moment. And you're going to be able to find out real quick how you can be the solution to that. But the only way to do that is to really listen to what they're telling you and allow their responses to lead you to the next question. Of course, we know on a script how much they owe on the property. Is there any tear downs, right? Is everything permitted, not permitted, right? Anything wrong with roof, foundation? We know all those things are important, but we want to figure out what the main issue was, the main problem was, right? And so thank you, Tracy, for participating. I appreciate it. But you want to make sure you do that. I challenge everyone
You're welcome.
to ask someone what their favorite color is for the next 10 days, and you'll see how quick you start to realize how easy it is to ask questions to get down to a very fine issue or problem. Okay. So this is a listing pre-qualification that I use. If you ask every single one of these questions, you'll be ready for your listing appointment. I'm gonna send these slides out to whoever wants them. I'm also gonna send out the scripts and the pre-qualifications that I use for this. And of course, when you're dealing with people who want to sell, they also want to buy. So I also have a buyer's pre-qualification that we use. If you ask every single one of those questions verbatim, you're going to know if this person's going to qualify to purchase a home, and you know everything about them. So again, I'll send this out. I won't go over every single question at the moment, but I will go over this portion right here. So let me minimize this, okay? So your job is to be a solution, okay? You either find the problem or you create the problem, right? Whenever we're on calls, right? I always ask my agents, what was the problem? All right, cool. There's no problem. How'd you create one? And how can you create one, right? Which is a funny thing to say, right? But you either find the problem or you create the problem. And remember, always bring them back to the motivation. Motivation plus problem divided by the solution, which is you, is always going to equal listing agent. If you don't solve the problem and you don't understand their motivation, it's not going to lead to appointments and it's not going to lead to transactions. Okay, and I'll give you some examples. Find the problem, right? Through your questions, what are some of the problems that come up? Well, agent didn't communicate, right? You figure out the last agent wasn't communicative, didn't give them enough updates. Well, perfect. How can you be the solution for that now? The agent didn't market enough. Okay, perfect. I found the problem. How can I resolve that? What is my marketing strategy now? What am I investing in to get their sold home, right? What unique strategies am I putting into place to make something happen, okay? I didn't get the offers I wanted. Perfect. What kind of offers were they looking for? Do they make sense? Do they not make sense? Maybe the client wasn't properly educated, right? We couldn't find a replacement home. Rates are too high, whatever the case is, right? So important that we understand that we need to look and find the problem. Now, sometimes we have some stubborn ass prospects, right? Hey, you know what? I'm just gonna die in the home. No, I don't want to sell it no more because I just changed my mind, right? You can't get over their objections. Their objections are very simple. But here's the thing: if they're staying on the phone, they're staying on the phone for a reason, right? So don't just hang up, right? If you can't find a problem, then create a problem. And here's some examples of how to create a problem, right? So we have a very stubborn client, doesn't want to share too much information. I love my home. I don't want to sell it no more, whatever the case is. Perfect. Hey, I know you love your home, but if there was one thing you would change about the home, what would that be? Okay. It being only through the conversation, you found out only the wife and husband live in this property, right? It being only you and your wife, is the property heavy maintenance for you both? And they might say, yeah, it's a lot of house for us. Okay, perfect. Right? You created a problem now. You want to get them into a mind frame of there's a problem in this house, and now I'm now the solution. I could change that for you. Right? I know you changed your mind, but what was it about Tustin that originally had you wanting to sell the house? And this is my favorite one. I always do this with, this is my last question I always ask when I have a difficult prospect. Look, in a perfect world, if I was to sell your home tomorrow for the money you wanted, where would you move to and why? And let's just say they say, oh, well, you know what? We thought about living in Huntington Beach. Okay, perfect. You know what, Carla? Say it with me right now. Let's envision this. I just sold your house yesterday. We're in Huntington Beach. Let's close your eyes. Let's envision ourselves in Huntington Beach right now. What does that house look like? How many bed and bath? How far is it from the shore? Put them in a motivational state. Let them envision what they're doing, what they want to do, right? Then you figure out how you can bring that problem and you be the solution, and you set up the appointment, right? Which is the next one. Hey, Leo, if I found you a home with a backyard that had a built-in barbecue in Tustin, and I can get you close to the mortgage you're looking for, would you reconsider selling your house with me? And you stay quiet, and they say yes, perfect. I will set up an appointment to review the Tustin homes with the barbecue. Why? Because that was a motivation. I created a problem. His motivation was, hey, I wanted a built-in barbecue somewhere in Tustin. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna lead with that. Perfect. I'm gonna show you properties that have a built-in barbecue. Okay, and I'm gonna present you my strategy to sell your property at the profit you're looking for. I'm available Saturday at 12 or Sunday at 1. Can anyone tell me why I said I'm available at Saturday at 12 or Sunday at 1 instead of me saying, are you available Saturday at 12 or Sunday at 1?
Keeps you in control of scheduling and actually giving the options rather than leaving the ball in their court to say, well, I'll get back to you with my availability.
Yep, perfect, right? Gives you more control. Why else? Another reason.
It also lets them know that you're busy, you know, doing other things too,
There you
and
go.
they need to get on your schedule.
Exactly, right? It puts you more in control, but also shows them you're busy, right? And again, you have to identify yourself as a professional. And a lot of times realtors have a hard time looking at themselves as a professional, right? And you have to put yourself in that. I am a professional in this industry and in this market. When you go to the doctor, they don't tell you, hey, Anthony, when are you available to come back to the doctor? No, they tell you, hey, these are the 3 dates, you got to pick one. And sometimes it's 6 months from the day that you need to go in. And you're probably dying sick, and you're like, damn, I got to come in 4 weeks later. I got to find another hospital. I got to find another clinic, right? Same thing with a lawyer. Anything that's a professional, you're on their time, you're on their schedule. So what this tells them is, hey, I'm valuable, I'm busy, I want to make time for you. These are my 2 time slots, right? And guess what? If they say, hey, you know what? I'm not available Saturday or Sunday, but I'm not available Saturday or Sunday. Perfect. You know what? Let me check my schedule real quick. You sure already know what days you are, but hey, you know what? I have another time slot Monday at 4 or Tuesday at 12. Which is best for you? Now they may say, you know what? I'm available Monday, but not until 6. Okay, give me 1 second. Pretend to move something around. You're probably not busy, but give the perception that you're professional, that you're busy, that you're making time for them, okay? But you want to put yourself in that position of being in control. People want to work with people who are busy. Because if you're busy, that signifies that you're doing business. And if you're doing a lot of business, you must be making money. You must be good at what you're doing, right? So if there's new agents on here, even though you have no business, put on your stories, be busy, go do open houses, go preview property, walk property, pretend you're showing your clients, whatever the case is, be busy, right? Be busy, because you give the perception that the people are gonna be like, oh, wow, like this person's showing this many houses this week. The regular consumer doesn't know that you're previewing property. They think you're doing showings, right? So when they see that, they're gonna be attracted to that, right? So you wanna make sure, that you're giving yourself that visibility to the consumer, okay? Now, you want to make sure you exhaust every opportunity on one call. Even though you're calling for expireds and that particular person answers and they're not the actual expired, that doesn't mean anything, right? Your job as a real estate agent is every person you talk to, you find a problem and you're the solution. So even though you call for an expired, say, oh, you know what, I never lived at the property. Don't say, okay, perfect, sorry for calling, hope you have a wonderful day. No, hey, perfect, you know what, hey, I totally understand that you weren't living in this property. Let me ask you, are you currently renting or are you owning? Right? Or let's just say that they don't want to sell the property no more. Hey, I understand you don't want to sell this property anymore. Is this the only property you have, or have you started your portfolio? Or have you considered purchasing additional properties to generate passive income? And if you've exhausted every opportunity, then the last question you should always ask, hey, look, I totally understand. You're good where you're at. You're going to die in the house. I get it. But let me ask you, by any chance, do you know anyone who would be interested in selling or buying a home? Okay. When you exhaust every opportunity on a call, opportunities will pop up. Okay. I can tell you some of these listings that we've gotten weren't even a direct caller, it was someone else. I have a $1.6 million listing in LA right now. And the first person that we called wasn't even direct contact, but I kept asking, they gave us a number. We called a separate number that wasn't on Vulcan. We were able to get the appointment, get the listing. At the end of or last year, we called a probate. No, we're calling expireds. This person had no connection to the property, but she said, hey, but you know what? Do you know anything about probate? I was like, yeah, sure. Let's talk about it a little bit. Set up an appointment. We ended up having a probate listing. We double ended the deal, right? So exhaust every opportunity and ask questions, regardless of what the purpose was that you were calling for. If you're calling expired and the non expired, it's okay. Then that you're talking to somebody. Find a problem or create a problem. Okay. Now, I'll go ahead and open it up for a couple questions when it comes to expires. We'll take like 3 to 5 minutes of any questions when it comes to expires. If anybody wants to open it up.
Anthony, I have a question. My name's Johnny, by the way.
Hey, what's up, Johnny?
Hey, so I mean, as a matter of fact, I actually just reached out to Vulcan 7 a few days ago because it's something that I've been looking into. Just prospecting, set aside prospecting, and I got the pricing and everything. So, how long have you been doing Vulcan 7 or using that system?
I've had it for like 2 years, but there was like a year where I didn't really use it, to be honest. I was really
Okay.
focused on buyers and like and really pushing it, but we've really been using it for the last like few months.
Yeah,
And
because
we've been seeing we're getting appointments every week at least.
yeah, because I want to really focus on the listing side of the business if possible, of course, right? So yeah, I'm actually in the process of signing up, and it seems with their dialer system, it seems like, and now to hear that you're using it and that it's successful for you, I mean, it just it gives you more reassurance, even though it's has a cost associated with it, but it is you gotta pay.
I mean, one deal covers Vulcan for like,
Yeah,
before I got that probate and we got a probate in Santa Ana, was already paying it for a year and I was like, man, I don't think I'm gonna pay for it anymore.
yeah,
But I wasn't using it. I wasn't being consistent. I wasn't making calls every day. I was going weeks or months without making calls and I'll jump on it randomly. Then
yeah.
we got that deal and we double ended. That was a $44,000 commission that
Wow.
pays
Yeah,
Vulcan for,
for
I
a
don't
couple
know,
years.
years. You know what I mean? So like you
Yeah,
gotta put it in perspective at the end of the day. And when you have it for, and I'm glad I didn't cancel it because now on my Vulcan we have about 20, how many like 20, like 22,000 contacts, 23,000 contacts on there
that
that
you
we
can
can hit
just
up.
you
Goes
can
all
hit
the way
up.
up to
Yeah.
2021. So I mean we have leads every day to exhaust. And so it's a great opportunity. It's really a great system to
Yeah,
use.
I'm in Riverside County. I'm in Corona, so I figure, you know
Yeah,
what, let
yeah.
me, yeah, so,
Yeah, definitely take advantage. But thank you, Johnny. I
yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you. Your information is very, I've been watching other videos, training on Inspired, and your information is right on point. I mean, it's excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Anybody else have any questions? You got like 3 more minutes.
Hey, brother. Yeah, this is Tony. I have a quick question.
What's up, Tony?
Hey, so it sounds like you've been calling the older expireds as well as new ones, or are you focused more on one
We
or the
call
other?
both. We call both. Yeah,
Yeah.
we call new ones, and then randomly we'll call old ones. It really depends. I let the agents kind of decide which ones they call. I'll call newer ones, and then when I'm kind of annoyed with how some of those calls go, I'll call the older ones. So it really just depends. But I don't have a specific where we have to call the new ones right away. We got a lot of contacts, so we just make sure we make our calls that we have to make on a daily basis. And we make sure those calls are intentional. But I would say they both work. I mean, older expires a little bit of a warmer call, because it's been a
What
while.
happened?
The newer
Oh,
expires,
did you
obviously they're getting
cancel
blown
it?
up. They're
You
getting
can
like
find
100
Right.
calls
nobody?
on that same day. Oh, if you guys can mute whoever's
Really?
on there. Um,
Okay.
but it really
Okay.
depends.
Please mute, please mute.
Because I heard she tried to be the sun goddess. And she refused food.
Muted. All right, perfect. But yeah, does that answer your question, Tony?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I was just curious. Thank you.
Yeah, we do both. Anybody else? Any questions before I move on to the investor side? We got like 2 more minutes.
How do you deal with those questions that from the newer expireds? The ones that are upset over you calling and every other agent is calling. How do you handle that conversation?
I handle it in a lot of different ways. It depends on, I like to mirror clients. So, if depending on their energy or whatever, if they have a more uptone and direct approach, I'm actually the same way back. And so it kind of diffuses it a little bit. It sounds odd, but it definitely diffuses a little bit. But at the end of the day, the most important thing when you're on a call is going to be your tone and the confidence in what you're saying, right? if you have a tone like, oh, I'm so sorry to bother you, they're gonna feed off that and attack you. If you disregard that you're bothering them and you're confident and you're smiling through the phone, they'll usually listen, right? And so when you're very apologetic, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you. Just I'll be real quick. I only need 5 minutes of your time. Don't say any of that. I don't say any of that. I don't say, can I borrow 5 minutes of your time? I only need 30 seconds. I only need 1 minute. I'm direct. I ask my question. I wait for the response. Depending on what they tell me, I go back on that. But I would say try not to be apologetic. Don't ask them for 30 seconds at a time. Don't ask them for a minute at a time. Make sure you're confident. Make sure you're direct. Because at the end of the day, sometimes people try to become best friends with prospects over the phone. But I become their best friend or their friend or good with them once they're my client. When I'm on the phone call, I'm in solution mode. I need to find your problem. I need to be your solution. I need them to see me as a professional. I need them to see me as valuable. So I listen to what they're telling me, and then I come back. But they say, hey, oh my God, 100 people are calling. Hey, you know what? Totally understand 100 people calling. Let's make sure that this is 101 and the last call you get. And then I ask the next question, right? And so if they list their home with me, that's the last call they're ever gonna get, right? Or whatever the case is, right? So sometimes it could be funny, you can direct it, but I try to be as direct as possible and not apologetic, because when they're angry and you're over apologetic, I'm so sorry, they're just gonna hang up on you, whatever it is. I just try to move forward with my questions. But that's the best way I can kind of answer that question right there. But thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
If they
This
hang
will be
up
the
on
last
you, you
question.
call them right back.
Yeah, I do, actually. Always. Hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I think we got disconnected. My team laughs. You know, they're all newer, so sometimes I'm a little aggressive. So like they laugh or a little scared, but I always call back. Like at the end of the day, when you're making phone calls, you're either getting an appointment or you're getting better. Right? You're either getting an appointment or you're getting better, right? And so you know, the best way I can describe phone calls, right, is sometimes we're human beings, right? So we're like, well, I don't want to bother them, or I don't want to be a nuisance, or I don't want to be annoying, right? I don't want to call too many times. I don't want to call back, right? We're afraid of all these emotions that we're gonna feel. At the end of the day, guys, you never had that listing. You're not losing nothing. Okay, that's number one. You didn't lose nothing. Number two, us as human beings, Kathy, can you unmute real quick?
Yes.
This isn't, don't be offended by this, okay? But Kathy, do you feel like your life has meaning?
Yes, of course.
Right? What have I told you it doesn't?
That doesn't matter to me what you think.
Your life means nothing. My life means nothing. Right?
Not to you.
Right? So, but when I tell you that your life means nothing, it's because us as humans, we attach meaning to things. Right? I may have a picture in my phone or a little thing that means something to me because I attach meaning to it. Right? But to someone else, it means nothing. Now, what happens is that when we're making phone calls, we're afraid to call them back because we don't want to bother them. But what you're doing is you're attaching meaning as if this other person hangs up the phone and says, oh my God, I cannot believe that Kathy called me again. Oh my God, 5 hours of the, can you believe it? Kathy called me 5 hours ago trying to sell my house. They're not doing that. Once they hang up, they forget about you. You're of no importance to these people. And we have to remember that, right? So you can't be discouraged when people hang up on you, when they get upset, when they hang, whatever it is. Just understand that it's part of the process and it's our job to call and follow up until we get an answer. Unless they say, F you, don't ever call me again, you're always going to call. That's it. If they answer, they're opening the opportunity for me to create an opportunity for me and that person to do business together. Okay, so don't get discouraged by that. If they hang up, call back, have fun with it. You're gonna learn. The more I like to tell my agents, stay on the phone as long as possible, because when you're going back and forth with the prospect, even if they give you stupid objections, try to overcome them because it makes you witty. Right? You start to get more witty. You start to get more faster at responses. So then when you have a really good prospect and they really ask you good objections, you can overcome it quickly, right? If you can overcome, you know what, I'm gonna put my tombstone in the backyard and live here. If you can overcome that, which is an outlandish objection, you'll be able to overcome, hey, you know what, the rate's a little high. I don't know if I can afford the new mortgage, right? So stay on the phone as long as exhaust those opportunities. Look at you having a 10-minute conversation and overcoming objections as a win. When you start looking at the process as a win, once the results come, you're going to get better and better and better and better, right? And so that's the best way I can describe some of these phone calls. But, thank you for participating, Kathy. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the investor side of it. So acquire and relist, okay? Now, question for everybody is, who's tired of the emotional roller coaster with buyers and sellers? And we're about to hit an even more emotional roller coaster in 3 days, right? With the new, obviously with the new changes coming in, right? We're gonna have buyers having to pay a little bit more. We're gonna have sellers who are gonna want to pay nobody. We're gonna have agents who want to get paid somewhere. Well, there's gonna be a lot of chaos going on there, a lot of roller coasters, right? And some of the other common things that we get is, my dad came with the inspection, the walls are pink, I don't want to buy the house. I want it, but my wife doesn't. It's 10 minutes further from my job, et cetera, right? The conventional seller or buyer comes with emotion, and a lot of people don't realize how much of a therapist, how much of a consultant, how much of a dad or mom that us realtors really become for our clients, right? And sometimes it takes a toll on us. We carry their stress and we carry their emotions with us, and we take it with us everywhere, right? And that can be very stressful sometimes. Now, when it comes to investors, though, if you look on the next slide, they're very numbers and profit margin driven. It's very black and white. It's very rare that you're gonna have an investor that's gonna be emotional, unless you got them a bad deal and now they're stressed out because they're not gonna make money, or they got to get tenants out, right? But even then, that's also black and white. It's either we get them out or we don't, right? So they're very numbers and profit margin driven. They use cash or hard money, so you're gonna have fast closes. That means you're gonna get paid faster. They're rarely emotional. Then you have relist opportunities, right? Meaning you're able to get an investor a property, you negotiate with your investor. He says, you know what, you're gonna relist my property. You relist it, you have this beautiful home, you have an open house, and then you have all these buyers coming in that you now can have another opportunity for, right? So you have a relist opportunity and you become the hub for buyers. Now, here's kind of like the 10-step process that I do to work with the investors. As of right now, I have 5 investors that I work closely with that we're going to do repeat business with. Then I have about 20 investors that I'm, exchanging deals and getting them deals or whatever. And then I have agents I'm working with too, that we're working together with investors, right? So there's a lot of opportunity that's out there when you start to look at different types of clientele that you can acquire, right? So number 1, I find the off-market or distressed opportunities. I then find the investors and I create a match, right? Investors interested in this property, perfect. And I do site walks. I go to the sites, whether I have the investor or not. I take video, I do content. Hey, here's our next flip. Here's your next flip. Put on my stories, get people interested, whatever the case is. Now they start asking me questions about flips, about distressed properties, so on and so forth, right? So if I find a deal, I find the investor, I put them together, I close the deal, I get paid, right? There's different ways to get paid. You either get paid directly from your investor. If it's an MLS property, then you get paid the percentage from the listing, or starting on the 17th. If they have concessions even available for the buyer, you get paid that way. Or in some cases, you get paid an assignment or a referral fee. There's just different ways for you to get paid, different margins to get paid. You can get paid really fat, get paid really small. Really kind of just depends on the opportunity. Now, it's important to establish a relationship with the investor and create an agreement, so that way you can have the relist opportunity. Of course, you negotiate your price. Average investor will pay maybe 4%. That's both for buyer and seller. Maybe with the new changes, you can get your 4% only. Whatever the case is, you negotiate whatever you feel your value is, or the negotiating that you guys come together, and then you get the relist opportunity. Then when you have the rehab and they're rehabbing the property, go to the property, film content, put it on your stories, use that as an opportunity and credibility to find more investors, right? Then the home is complete, it's done, you relist the property, you have an open house, and then buyers come to you. You then close that property. So you just got closed, you just close on that. Let's just say that you got on that property right now in August. It took them 2 months to rehab and do everything. What is that? August, September, October. No, first weekend of November, you relist the property. 30 days later, you got paid again twice by the same client. If you found the buyer, you double, and then you just got paid 3 times from the same transaction. But then you got 2 other buyers that came in the open house. You signed a buyer representation. You got them pre-approved, pre-qualified, then you get them into a home. You now are in control of what you can create from when it comes to your income. Instead of working with one buyer and trying to take them on showings for 8 months, right? You become the hub. You are now in control. You have the inventory, right? And that's what my team has been trying. We've been trying to create inventory, so we're now the hub, right, for people to come in. And so I give you an example. We have our property in Long Beach. We rehab that property. I got paid a significant amount on that on the front end. We relist the property, negotiated my price. We had buyers come in. We ended up pre-approving a buyer right there on the spot. They're out shopping right now as we speak. We're about to open escrow on that opportunity, and then we're about to buy another property, flip properties to start repeat the process, right? And we're going to keep doing over and over and over again, right? And so that's the opportunity. That's as close as residual income as you can get without buying and holding property. So there are ways to create consistent income in real estate aside from your typical buyers and sellers. And I just recently started doing this about 3-4 months ago, right? Where I kind of stumbled upon this, and I've been trying to perfect it and find partners and do this. And every month has been increasing in inventory. And I can only imagine where this is going to be 6 months from now and creating that opportunity, right? Now, the question is, how do I find investors, right? It's easy. Everyone's an investor, right? Type in the word investor in IG and you're going to find 20, 30 investors that come up, right? All social media platforms, type in investor, reach out. Hey, you know what? I have a bunch of distressed properties. I like the opportunity to work with you. Are you interested in buying or selling? Perfect, right? Collect their name, their email, the inventory type that they look for. Investors like to invest in different types of things, where it's multi-unit, single-family residence. Ask them for the price range and budget. And then you ask what kind of purchase power they have. Do they have cash, hard money? Is it multiple partners? Is it under LLC? Is it you personally? What's the case? Understand all that, right? Local meetups. You can definitely go to local meetups. I haven't taken advantage of that, but there is a lot of local meetups when it comes to investors that you can go to. Connect with contractors, right? That's a huge one, because guess what? Contractors work with flippers. Flippers work with contractors, right? You also want to get a good idea of what type of materials are being used. So you sound more well-versed to the investor and kind of help them. Then you can connect contractors to flippers, right? Visit flip properties. It's very easy to tell what's a flip property when you go on the MLS, right? Because most likely that you can see a distressed property bought 3 months ago, then all of a sudden it's redone and put on the market. Visit that property, get a good idea, find out who the contractor was, door knock that area, because I'll tell you, and I'm gonna go over this in the next slide, flippers like to flip in the same areas, right? And they find a hot zip code. People like to sell where people are selling. People like to buy where people are buying, right? It's the same thing. You see one flip, there's probably gonna be a bunch of flips in the area, right? Find those hot areas, look for properties, knock those properties, and you'll be able to connect and matchmake, right? And again, social media, don't be a secret agent. We're in a whole different type of environment. It's important that people see you, you get the credibility, get the visibility, and really showcase what you're doing, okay? How to find deals. Number one, you can MLS search. You go to filter, cities, days on the market, and look for shitty pictures, right? You see really bad pictures with the iPhone, right? Pictures with the cat, picture with the guy in the mirror in the bathroom, whatever it is. Find those properties, collect those addresses, and you can start sending them out, hey, I found you a good opportunity. Here's the comps. Let's go check it out, whatever the case is. Drive for dollars, right? Be intentional. Flippers like to flip in certain zip codes, right? Look for deals where flippers are and knock in those areas. Knock around the expireds that you see, right? Just listed. Knock distressed neighbors, right? If you have a listing and you see a house that's distressed, go knock on it, right? Figure it out. Be intentional. For example, 90016 is a very hot zip code for flips. I have 3 listings in that zip code right now. Okay, 2 of them are flips. One of them is a consumer, but we cosmetically fix it up a little bit. But that's a very hot zip code. There's a lot of good inventory. There's a lot of distressed properties, right? A lot of distressed properties in that zip code, 90016. Okay. The last thing you can do is you can partner up with me. I have a few partnerships with investors and sellers who acquire property that are off market or that are under contract. As of right now, I have over 50 flip opportunities every single week, both that are off market and under contract, right? If you're interested in partnering up with me, send me a DM, send me an email, send me your email. I'll start sending those lists to you, and we can go ahead and connect and figure out how we can put a deal together, right? On average, you can make anywhere from 6,000 to 50,000, even in some cases 100,000 on some of these deals, right? And that's not even counting the relist opportunity. Okay, I've made different amounts in that price range. So there's a lot of good opportunity if you're able to really match make and find the opportunities. And as long as it makes sense. Again, investors are profit margin focused. So you want to make sure your deals at least are making 100 grand for them, right? I think that's a typical margin. A brand new investor, brand new flipper, they probably at least want to make 60 and above. But someone who's been doing it a while, they want to at least make a minimum $100,000 profit. So if your margins make sense with the 100,000, then do it. If there's an opportunity to sell, to work with an investor and you make a very little amount of money, do it because you just built a relationship for more deals and a relist opportunity, right? Your job as an agent is to build your pipeline, right? That's my job. Is to build a pipeline. If you're going to be in this business for a long period of time, your number one focus is building your pipeline. It's not babysitting the one little buyer or babysitting the one little listing you have. You give your buyer and your listing the attention it needs, and you move forward to look for the next deal. You have to build your pipeline. And if you build your pipeline every single day and you work your pipeline every single day, at some point you're going to start getting deal after deal after deal after deal after deal, right? And sometimes I get it, in this business is tough. You left your job, you're working 2 jobs. We have this one possible deal that can make it, and we're spending every single day trying to make that one deal happen. Those are usually the agents, and I've been there, I've been in that position, that don't make money and don't get more deals. Your job is to build your pipeline every single day. If you added 3 new leads into your database every single day, that's a win. If every single day you followed up on each one of those leads, right? That's a win. It takes 8 to 12 touches before you can get an appointment. So before you can get a lead to an appointment, you have to call and talk to the person at least 8 to 12 times. Then it's probably gonna take another 8 to 12 times for you to go back and forth with this appointment, for them to become an escrow, a pre-approved buyer, or a listing. Then another 30 days for it to get sold, right? It's a 90-day business, and we have to keep that in mind and be intentional every single day. If you take a week off, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks off as a realtor, you're really setting yourself back 90 days, right? So really kind of keep that in mind when you're building your business and building your pipeline, okay? Here's an example of all the properties I have. I didn't include the addresses, but again, if you guys are interested, send me a DM or a message. If you guys are on the Let's Grow movement, WhatsApp, send me a message there, give me your email. These are all the properties, the purchase price, the deposit required, the rehab required, when the close of escrow is, and then what the ARV is, right? Find the investor, connect with me, do the sidewalk. We can close within 7 to 10 days. And then of course, compensation really depends. Is it investor paid? Is it a margin-based assignment, or is there a commission fee that's assigned to it? We figure that out. It's a deal-by-deal cases. But if you guys are interested in an opportunity, please hit me up. We can do a relist together, or whatever the case is, we will figure it out. But really excited to work with some of you. If you guys are interested in this, a really great opportunity to really kind of increase your business, increase your visibility, increase your inventory, and give us more opportunities to work with our buyers and find buyers and our sellers, okay? And then follow me on Instagram. It's Anthony__Acevedo. DM me inventory for a copy of the slides with your email. I'll go ahead and email you guys all the slides and the scripts. And then I do call blitzes with expireds every Tuesday and Thursday with my team at 3 p.m. You can send me a message, and we can go ahead and get you, if you guys wanted to come on by, listen in, or learn a few things. My main office is in Orange. I do have a hub office in Downey. And then I'll be having a new office opening up in Tustin in about a week or 2. So definitely have a lot of different areas for you guys to come join us, make some calls together, get some deals. I know there's a couple people on the chat. Let me read some of these, see if there's anything I can do on there. Getting motivated, everyone please. Low payments, scripts. Everyone wants the scripts. I got you guys. Yeah, shows I have structure. Thank you. Busy scripts. Everyone's asking for scripts. I like it. All right, perfect. So I read all those. Now open up for questions. We've got about five minutes or so. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them.
Hey, Anthony, I have
no.
a flip coming up in Riverside. It's kind of far, and I don't have an investor in that area. Would you suggest that I pull up flips in the area and call, see if I can find the buyer?
Of course, right? So if you have that opportunity, call them and find out who's flipping and get them to be your buyers.
Okay. I just gotta
Yeah,
figure that part out, because I haven't done that before, but that sounds like a plan.
Fine. Keep in mind, right? The investors also know the buyers. Investors also like to buy, or they have people who are interested in buying, right? So like that particular investor may not want to buy it, but he probably knows someone who does. Like I've been able to connect with a lot of investors or developers, And I've also kind of stumbled in the development side too, because someone was like, well, I'm not interested, but this person is, but this person wants this deal. Like, it's just such a domino effect. If you're having conversations every single day with whatever type of person, and you're intentional in that, you're gonna see a lot of opportunity just flood into you, right? And it's really up to you what you want to do with it, right? If you want to really kind of increase that. So if you have a flip opportunity, whether it's a listing that's distressed or you're trying to flip it, then I would definitely call flips in the area, find out who the investor was. It's probably going to be the seller, and see if you can connect them with it, and just let the agent know, hey, you know, I have this opportunity. Want to see if your investor was interested in it. Maybe we can connect, do something together, whatever it is, right? I think the best thing about EXP that I love is we're a collaborative brokerage, right? We love to collaborate with each other, right? And I think when we take that approach as agents, especially moving into this new direction with the changes that are happening, the more that we collaborate together, the more money we're going to make. And I think, you know, we're not adversaries as agents. We should always collaborate. Like listing agent and buyer's agent, like you already got the listing. Like I don't need to compete with you. We need to work together, right? So when we're negotiating, I always try to be the listing agent's best friend or the opposite, because we're a collaboration. We're not going against each other, right? And so I think when we take that approach, you'll start to see more business kind of flooding into your pipeline. But that was a good question. Does anyone else have any questions?
I do,
You'd like to share?
Anthony.
Yeah.
My name is Denise, and I'm in Arizona. I'm a solo agent. I walk my neighborhood, and there's several homes. There's one in particular. Are you able to obtain an area? If I give you an Arizona address through Vulcan, you think you could get me the owner's information? Because I've tried high and low to reach this guy.
I wouldn't be able to find it through Vulcan, because when you pay for Vulcan, you give whatever zip codes that you desire, right? So
Oh, I
I
see.
pick the particular areas that I like to call. But I mean, I'd be willing to help you out. I'm sure I'll be able to connect with someone who can try to find us the information that you're looking for. So if you can, just send me a DM, and then I'll try to help you kind of work that out. And you said you're a solo agent in Arizona?
Yes, I am in Phoenix, all a little alone. But if it wasn't for EXP and all you guys as team leads, I'd be
Yeah.
toast.
No, yeah, I actually know a good team leader out in Arizona as well, so I may be able to connect you guys too. So I think that might be
Oh,
benefit. So you can
thank
have some help.
you. Thank
Of
you.
course, yeah. Just send me a DM and remind me though, because I got
Okay.
everyone blasting me with stuff. So
I
I'll try to
will.
remember
Thank you so
everybody, but I
much. All
can't.
right. Thank you.
All right, of course, of course. Any other questions?
Hi, Anthony. Thank you so much. My name is Tanya.
Of course. Hi, Tanya.
Hi. So how do you do the agreement to relist with, because I currently I got my first probate, and through that and the open houses and everything, I did come across a couple investors. So they're all saying, you know, the next deal I have, call them, I already sent them the list that you had sent us. That I received your emails with all your properties. So how can I secure that I am going to be relisting with them?
I have them sign the listing agreement, but number one thing I do, because when I work with investors, I try to establish a relationship, right? And so when I meet an investor, it's like, hey, cool, like, what are you looking for? Okay, great. Like, what's your price range? Okay, great. What's your purchasing power? Okay, great. What do you not like? Okay, great. How many agents do you work with at the moment? Right? Okay, cool. Like, do you have someone that you work with on a consistent basis? I kind of fill them out, understand, right? Like what the current status is. And then tell me, hey, look, you know what? Like, I love to find you the first deal. If you love how I work, I love to make this a continuous relationship where I can continue to find you deals. Do you relist the properties yourself, or how do you handle the relist, right? And then from there, I figure it out. Sometimes they may say, hey, look, I relist it. I have my license. Or they'd be like, nah, I usually just let the agent relist it. Okay, cool. What's the percentage you usually do? Here's what my value is. It's the same thing as a listing presentation, but just you're talking to someone who understands the business, so you can be a little bit more direct, right? And say, hey, look, this is my values, what I provide. This is what I do. You come up to an agreement, and then boom, right? You know, it really kind of just depends on the situation, but you know, just about having the conversation, treat it like a listing presentation or a listing conversation. And if they agree to it, then I have them sign the listing agreement after we do the purchase. And then I readjust the listing agreement later for the pricing, you know, after we do comps or whatever it is. But that's how I handle it at the moment. Of course, we have the new listing agreement now, so you know, there's a little bit of changes with that and adjustments, but that's typically how I've been doing it for the past few months.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, of course. Any other questions? Anybody? Going once.
Just
going
thank you very
twice.
much. Very informative. I already sent you messages on your via DM, IG, and I'm gonna be
Awesome.
following up with you no later than tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Okay. Awesome, awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Well, that's it for today. Let's create your inventory. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining on. If you guys DM me, I'll send you guys the slides and the scripts. And until then, I'll see you guys on the next training. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
Hey.
Now I gotta figure out how to stop the recording. Oh, there it is. Stop.